right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. We're live at the Burlington Buffalo Wild Wings. You might be able to hear it in the background, not real sure. But we are playing a race from 2012. Andy Krieger actually picking up an IMCA modified feature win at 34 Raceway. I want to thank Tony Anderson for giving us the video. He's going to give us some video from Dirt, Dust, and Speed through the years as we can go back. We got a few people in house tonight. I want to thank Ned Fry, who's going to be our first guest. He's on this evening. Nick Guernsey. Nick Guernsey actually has his sprint car, his 305 sprint car sitting out front. Had a few people come up, take a look at that as soon as it parked out front. So I want to thank him for bringing the truck and trailer in and having a good time. We've got all kinds of great stuff coming up this weekend. We'll talk about that a little later in the show at the end of the night, but Jacksonville Speedway has a big deal coming up. Coles County Speedway, if you're a micro fan, has the non-wing classic this weekend. That's also a little bonus points deal for the Pure Max Racing El Hart non-wing micro series as well. So you get some bonus points if you're a member of that. If you want to go to the non-wing classic at Coles County Speedway, which is down in Charleston or near Charleston, Illinois. So we got to talk about the midget race. Got some big races coming up at 34 Raceway in the coming weeks as well. We'll talk a little bit more about those. But we got some great guests. Nick Guernsey, a racer, a former member of the military, has done some great things with his race car, helping his fellow comrades that are still serving, have served, and we'll talk more about that. But of course, we're going to talk about his 305 sprint car as well. We're going to talk about what's on the race car. Actually going to try a little picture-in-picture thing, so we'll see how that works tonight for him. Ned Fry, he's going to be our first guest, though. He's a member of the Mississippi Valley Vintage Race Car Association. He's been racing for over 60 years, has his own book out. I'm going to talk to him, and he brought a copy of the book, so we'll be able to show that to you. And if you want to hear a good storyteller, Ned Fry, probably much better than I at telling stories. So we're going to have a lot of fun with Ned. We're going to have a lot of fun. We want to thank everybody that's coming out tonight. We've got several people here watching the race, as I said, from 2012. Jackie's here helping us with all of your food and drink needs, of course. And we want to thank Performance Bodies, as we've got some stuff to give away to our in-studios guests. So we're going to come back in just a couple minutes. Our first Performance Bodies in-studio guest will be Ned Fry right after this.
It's time for an adrenaline rush, and it's coming to 34 Raceway for the first time. August 30th is the fire-breathing unseen showdown in the Lucas Oil American Sprint Series as they take on the Sprint Invaders and ASCS Warrior Region. Friday, August 30th at 5 p.m. with action at 6:15 p.m. Admission is $25 for adults and kids 10 and under. Get in free. For more information and directions, call 319-752-3434 or log on to 34raceway.com.
So ASCS making their first stop at 34 Raceway on the 31st. Of course, the Power Eye, Lucas Oil War Sprint League. I can't keep track, Ned, of what their name actually is.
Oh, they'll change it next week.
Yeah, they probably will. Ned Fry alongside, and Ned, you've been doing so much. You're an ordained minister.
Yeah.
You do weddings and funerals, and you actually do some preaching on Sundays.
Yeah, I fill in for pastors when they're gone, and they invite me back so I don't get too wild, I guess.
Well, you were telling stories beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
They precede your storytelling, and then sometimes you don't live up to what they tell people you're going to do.
Well, I know. Down in Denmark, there was kind of disappointed I didn't do something outrageous, so I had to do something.
Well, you can't leave them disappointed.
That's right.
It's all about keeping the fans
That's right.
entertained. You got a couple big weeks with the Mississippi Valley Racing or Vintage Race Car Association coming up, don't you?
That's right. Yeah, we've had a lot of rainouts, just like everybody has. So, and we had one heat out, we call it. It was too hot to race. But this Friday night, Donaldson, Iowa, with the Sprint Invaders. It'll be Mississippi Valley Vintage Race Car Association. Everybody needs to come because our club throws away frisbees, rubber balls, and Mardi Gras beads. And this Friday we got 50 Groucho Marx glasses for the kids. So we try to keep the fans happy.
Can I put my lenses in them?
You can do anything you want, yeah.
Okay.
I'll make sure you get one. And then the week after that, 23rd and 24th, we'll be at Columbus Junction. It's a 2-day deal. Friday night we run with their normal show, and then Saturday we rent a track and be all vintage show. Now the good thing about that is the grandstand's free. So Saturday night, the 24th, Columbus Junction, the grandstand's free. We're going to have what we call a double 20 for the jalopies and also for the sprint cars, but they run 20 laps. Go in the pits, I run something different, and then the jalopies come back out and run another 20. And so it's a 40-lap feature, and it's be the same thing for the sprint cars. But the top three get really nice trophies provided by Conesville Dragway, and the top three get they all get 2 T-shirts and a hat, confetti, and champagne to spray on each other.
Champagne, who can argue about that?
Yeah.
You can't complain about champagne. Right. So what keeps you guys putting these races together? These cars are, you've sometimes, I know that you've lost several, obviously, of your guys. Harley Layferre passed away over the winter last year.
Yeah.
He was a great guy. He's a guy that I sometimes I wonder if he actually knew my name or not.
Oh, really?
He would introduce me as Dewey Hewlett to everybody because his thing was when he started racing, everybody went by nicknames.
Yeah. Well, Harley raced all his life, and one time down at Belleville, Kansas, I broke my car, and I run down and convinced Harley to let me drive his car. And as I was buckling in, his wife leaned in the car and said, "Don't wreck this car. It's the only one we got." I said, "All right." And Harley said, "Stay away from that fence. Run down on the bottom." And as soon as I gave the green flag, I took it clear to the top and run all the way around top the whole race. When I come in the pits, he was a little upset. And he said, "I told you to stay away from that fence." And I said, "You were serious about that?"
Yeah.
We lost Harley and we lost Bob Ensminger. And Bob maintained 3 cars for his boys, and he was a good competitor, a good guy, and a good friend. And my friend Pat Muse, who had been a long-time president of our club, passed away, and that was really tough on me, really, really tough. And I still miss the guy because everywhere we went, I got him in trouble, and he took the fall on it. So.
Well, it's a nice thing you get the president always has to take the fall, right?
That's right. It's his fault.
It's his fault. Now, you talk about Ensminger. That's a name that if you're a 34 Raceway or Southeast Iowa racing fan, you heard that name for years down here, didn't you?
Right, yeah. Bob Sr. Drove Mississippi Valley, the jalopies way back when in the 50s and start of the 60s. And he was one of the first guys that come to Burlington to run semi-super modifieds. So, I mean, he dedicated his life to racing, and then his boys picked it up too, and he maintained the cars and built the cars and maintained them, and so the last time we ran at Oskaloosa, a vintage show, he wanted to drive one more time, and the boys had to lift him up and put him in the car and strap him in, and he went out and run 4 or 5 laps and came in. And so then it wasn't, that spring he passed away.
It's nice. That's kind of what's nice about this 2-day deal for you guys is it's your deal on Saturday. You can make that kind of stuff happen anytime you want to, can't you?
Right, yeah. We rent the track and rent the insurance from the company or the fair board. And so the deal of it is we do what we want. We're going to have a double 20, like I said, for the jalopies, double 20 for the sprinters. And then depending on what other classes we have, we'll just do whatever those guys want. And at the driver's meeting, I says, how many laps you want for the heat? And they tell me, and say how many laps you want for the feature, and that's what we do. And last year, we only had one midget show up. And so I didn't want to put him out there with anything else because everything would be heavier than him.
Right.
So I let him run a 15-lap feature all by himself. He won, too.
He did. Well, he won and got last all at the same time, whatever that's worth. But, that's the cool thing about that. And maybe it's not a ton of wheel-to-wheel racing, but you guys still get after it, don't you?
Oh, yeah. What I call it's three-quarter race. And they go fast. And I say, I don't care how fast you go. As long as you pass big. You don't pass close. You don't hit anybody. You don't slide anybody. And if anybody gets too reckless, we give them your black flag and bring you in. Because you have to take care of each other, take care of the cars. And like I said, it's three-quarters race. We're going as fast as we can go, but we're not young anymore, so you're not taking them silly chances other people take.
Well, the thing about those cars is not only is the driver longer to heal after a wreck, the cars are harder to fix because, you're back to making everything. It's not like you can go to the store and buy everything for these cars.
Oh, I know. It's harder and harder to find this stuff. When I started racing sprinters, you didn't have power steering and you had the brakes that kind of worked, and then you had narrow little tires on them. Well, we kind of threw all that stuff away because, we modernized our cars and stuff. And then when you do vintage, you're looking for that stuff you threw away.
Why didn't I keep it, right?
Yeah.
Of course, the wife or the kids had been like, why you have an attic full of this junk, right?
Well, yeah, my wife said the other day, why do we have 25 tires in the garage? I said, because they're mine.
Well, we've talked about the ordaining. We've talked about the vintage racing. Let's talk about the book.
Right. Well, my wife said, I've been going to SEC Junior College in the fall for a semester just for something to do. And last fall they didn't have the class I wanted. So between my brother and my wife, they said, write a book. And first thing I said is, I'm not smart enough to write a book. And they said, go out to Staples and buy this program that you talk and it prints it out. I said, well, I can do that. Well, I installed the thing and I sat down and talked on it and it didn't understand what I was saying.
It's like your kids.
Yeah. So then my wife come in after I was cussing the computer, and she talked on it and understood everything she said. So I don't know. But I took it back to Staples. They worked on it. And I made a book. And it's 105 pages. It's got all colored pictures in it. And it's a fun book, fun stories. It's
all color.
Oh, it's all color, yeah. I talk in there about in 1985 at the Knoxville Nationals at the drivers' meeting, I wore Cabbage Patch bedroom slippers with my fireproof suit. And Ralph Capitani told me I had to take them off. And I talk about the time Steve Kinzer come down to the pits and poked me in the chest with his finger and told me he didn't like my driving style. And all I could say to him, yes, Mr. Kinzer, yes, Mr. Kinzer. And so there's stories about trophy girls, there's stories about announcers, and And
I'm sure all the announcer stories are good stories, right?
oh yeah. Well, there's a story in there about the flagman said I jumped the start, and I didn't jump the start. But anyhow,
You never jumped the start.
no, and he gave me a rolled up black flag, and so the next time around, I did jump the start, and he gave me the black flag, and I didn't pay any attention to it, so they stopped scoring me. But I got mad at him and run over and climbed up in the flag stand and took the flag away from him. And I flagged the next sprint heat and scared the bejeebies out of me. So I apologized to the flagman, but I used some language I shouldn't have used, and the fans booed me. So
No, booed Ned Fry? No
booed
way.
me, yeah. So, but yeah, I'm never going to do that again. No.
Yeah, so when you climbed the fence, it wasn't in victory. Is that what you're saying?
No, it was in childish anger.
So there's pictures, all kinds of pictures in there. The picture of I think it's your most recent trip to the Chili Bowl when you were in flames. Is that the most recent, or is that the one before that?
I actually raced in. For those people who don't know what Chili Bowl is, it's the world's largest and most prestigious midget race. And for some reason, we decided to get a midget and run that thing. And I run it 4 times, but I never did anything. There's 325 cars trying to get 24 spots. Tony Stewart said it'd be easier to win the Indy 500 than the Chili Bowl, because the Indy 500 there's only 33 or 34 cars trying to get in the race. The Chili Bowl, there's 300 and some trying to get in the race.
And they're taking less to the Chili Bowl feature than they do to the Indy 500.
Right. Well, yeah, I had a really bad fire. It burned off my henchman uniform. I had a 3-layer uniform on, plus long john Nomex underwear, and it burned through it. And I just got some small burns, and we fixed the car, and I run out the rest of the week. And then the following year, I went out and bought some really, really good shock absorbers from Super Shocks. And Scott Boner set up my car for me, and it was the only chance I ever had to do really good at the Chili Bowl. And in my heat race, a young man got into me. I got up in there and got on the wall and broke 3 vertebrae in my back, bruised my lung, and tore a hole in my stomach muscle. So I was hurt bad, but here I am in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I got to lay there for 4 days before we go home, and so it was not good. And I healed up, but it ended up 3 months later, I had to go out here to the hospital and get operated on because the hole in my stomach muscle, my intestine went up in there and grew there.
That's not good.
No. So that was bad.
So pick a story out of the book. Give me 2 of your favorite stories out of the book.
Well, I raced midgets too, way back when, and I went over to Indiana for a midget race, and I actually won like a B main or something. I got a trophy, but I got a trophy girl that I got a kiss from. So anyhow, back in those days, there weren't cell phones, so you had to stop at a gas station and call home.
Right.
And I would say to my wife, she said, "Did you wreck?" "No." "Did you make any money?" "Yep." "When will you be home?" And so that was about the end of the conversation. Well, 3 days later, I come home, and she's sitting at the kitchen table, and she's mad. I said, what are you mad about? And she said, "You got an envelope from Indiana. It's a picture of you kissing a trophy girl." Well, it was a young lady, and I had her bent clear over, and she was resisting the kiss a little bit, and they took a picture of it. So she was mad.
Did she get over it?
Yeah, she got over it. And so, but then on, if I ever got to kiss a trophy girl, it was a nice little peck on the cheek. So
You behaved yourself.
yeah, I behaved myself.
They call that living and learning, right?
Yeah, living and learning. I had a flat tire at Knoxville in the feature, and they gave you 4 laps in the working area to change a tire. And so I come into the work area and pulled up there, and they come running over with a jack, but they couldn't get the tire rack unlocked because I had the keys in my pocket in the truck. So they had to run back to the truck and find the keys and unlock the tire rack and bring a tire over. Well, they brought an inside rear tire for the right side of the outside right. So they brought the wrong tire over, but there was no time to change. So I had two left rears on.
How'd that work out for you?
That didn't work worth a darn. but I finished the race, and so
there's always that's the fun thing about racing. Of course, it's about the racing, but it seems like the best stories are the stories that happen off the racetrack.
Oh yeah. We one time we was towing home from Knoxville, and somebody said, I think that the car has come loose on the trailer, and so we pulled over, and it actually the binders had come loose, and the car had slid off a little bit. So I said, well, I don't have any spare binders. So they started walking back down the road to look for the binders, and they come back with a dead skunk holding the skunk by its tail. I said, that's not a binder, guys. But anyhow, we got the car back on the trailer and got it tied down somehow. And we seem to have a lot of trouble with trailers. My wife was driving home one time, and she said that the trailer is weaving around a little bit. And I said, well, we'll pull into Fairfield where there's lights and see what's the matter. When we pulled in there, it was a four-wheel trailer, two-axle trailer, but one of the wheels were gone. So she said, I told you so.
That's not that uncommon of a problem, actually, though, is it?
Well, no. A lot of times you might get a flap, but this was gone.
Oh, completely gone.
Yeah, it was gone. I don't know whether the nuts come loose or what, but anyhow, my wife and my brother said we should write a book, so I wrote the book, and it's for sale on Amazon. It's for sale on Burlington Buy the Book, and it's for sale in Sprint Car Hall of Fame up at Knoxville.
You spent a whole day up there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I actually got there at 9 in the morning and went home at 6 at night. And when I was getting ready to leave, one of the ladies said, Ned, does your mouth hurt? And I said, my mouth hurt? Why would that hurt? And she said, well, you got here at 9. You just stopped talking just a little bit ago. So they had my table set up right close to the front door, so I talked to absolutely everybody that came in. And so what I told her, I said, well, you can't sell something if you don't talk.
So a book's going to be available during the 2-day race weekend, too? You're going to have it with you?
Yeah. I've actually sold 125 of them, and originally I thought I would sell 25, but I've sold 125 of them. It's a fun book. It's anybody that likes any kind of racing would like this book, because it's about the fun stuff and the crazy stuff, and Bud Woolham, the tech inspector out at 34, is in there about how he got after me on several occasions, and Jerry Blundy and Steve Kinzer and Ralph Capitani, and Outlaw Tees designed the cover. Larry Kemp wrote the foreword for it, and it's just a fun book, and it's got a lot of pictures in it. And
pictures are the best kind of books.
Well, that's what I thought, and they're not crayon pictures either. they're real pictures. But Dennis Krieger, there's a lot of Dennis Krieger pictures in there, and David Hill, the big-time photographer up at Knoxville, pictures, and then there's crew pictures, and I was in a cardboard boat race with Jerry Ader from Aquaka up at Winfield Days.
Did you sink?
Well, it's really embarrassing. We got beat by 4 little girls in a pink boat, so we quit.
So
we never did that.
So you don't tell that story very much,
Not
then, do you?
very much. I was in a bathtub race down at Steamboat Days, and I bet the Olsen brothers that our team would be faster than their team, and we bet a a case of beer, and we won the race, so they paid me a case of beer. So
did they get your beer, or did they get the beer they wanted?
They got the beer they liked. They didn't get what we liked, but
that's how it goes. You got to stay. Make sure that's understood. That if you're buying beer, you're buying the beer I like.
That's right.
That's the part that goes unmentioned so many times, and you end up with the worst beer on the face of the planet.
Yeah, there's a list of types of cars that I've actually driven. I was really lucky. People would call me for a one-night drive where their driver be hurt or had to go to school or something, but I've driven late models and pro stocks and hobby stocks and go-karts. I even drove a dragster once, and I've always said I'm not afraid of anything because I'm not smart enough to be afraid. But
I think that's the key to being a racer, isn't it?
Well, kinda. The key to winning races is not shutting your eyes when you go into the corners. You got to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, I would say that's probably important.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've talked about maybe getting a couple more guys from the group here next week, or a guy or two. Maybe.
Right. Yeah, I got a couple of Facebook messages out, and we'll try to get some other vintage guys in here. And so, of course, I were faster than them guys, but I'll.
Yeah, you're faster. That's why you're here this week.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So,
well, if we can get a couple guys and get a car or two, we have Nick Guernsey's cars out here tonight.
Right,
Some people stopping and looking at that.
Hey, you're going to talk to Nick in just a little bit, but I want everybody to know that Nick Guernsey is a veteran, and he has been awarded the Purple Heart, and you only get that for being wounded in combat. So thank Nick Guernsey for his service.
Nick's a good dude. He does a lot of stuff for his fellow soldiers, and both current and past. So we're going to talk more about that stuff. We'll talk about his car. We're going to try a few things. Ned, thank you very much for joining me here tonight on the CFF Racing Show. And here's the book.
Yeah, here's the book. Outlaw Tees designed to cover Tarantula Flats, New Mexico.
Make sure you check him out online if you haven't. Tell us again where they can get the book. Amazon and Burlington by the Book.
Burlington by the Book, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, or if you Facebook me, I'll mail you one.
All right. Well, Ned, thank you for joining us. We'll see you in a couple weeks here, or in a week or two at one of these races, hopefully, and we'll see you down the road. We'll be right back with Nick Guernsey in just a couple minutes here on the CFF Racing Show. All right, welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're happy to have Nick Guernsey alongside. You brought your car. I want to turn this microphone down and make sure people can hear you.
That'll work.
Brought your car along tonight.
Yeah, it was sitting in the trailer still from last race. So
you were nice enough to just bring it along, and you got the youngin' with you. And
yeah, the boss is with me, so we can't get too much trouble tonight.
Yeah, well, I know you said that the car was still in the trailer because you might be switching cars. Is that?
Yeah, this car's done. We've kind of used it up, and it's time to go a different direction. And we've got a couple of them sitting there, so we're going to put a new motor in the other car and run it out the rest of the year and see what happens.
Well, let's get away from racing a little bit. Ned pointed out that you've got a Purple Heart.
Yep.
You're obviously a soldier, veteran. Seems like as long as I can remember, you and your car have done something to help veterans. You've got stuff on the car right now. You actually have it on your shirt. If people can see, I don't know if they can actually see it. I'll just turn this down a little bit, then they'll be able to see it. But why is it so important for you to keep that stuff part of what you do on a race car?
Well, I mean, you got to give back. You know, for those that are still downrange, and you know, we're still actively engaging. You know, day in and day out. So, you know, to just kind of be the voice that, you know, they're not forgotten, and to keep everybody, you know, in everybody's minds. You know, like I said, there was organizations that helped me out tremendously. Hope for the Warriors, they're on the car, they're on my shirt and everything now. You know, they become family, and you know, you do everything you can to help family out, and that's just kind of what we're doing.
So, what do they do? What's the Hope for Warriors?
They're a post 9/11 organization. They'll help. You know, obviously by post 9/11, it's, you know, after September 11th when the day the world changed. You know, for service members, not just service members, their families, caregivers. They'll, you know, anything from, you know, helping you transition out of the military to helping you with housing and, you know, education. And then, you know, you have service members who have been, you know, drastically affected by the war, and, you know, they step in, help out, you know, what needs to be done, whether it be, you know, counseling for the families to understand what's going on with mom or dad's injury, to you know, just being there and educational support to possibly take the next step in life. They've donated houses. They've donated, you know, tremendous amounts of money and efforts into various different things for service members. So to be a part of that is pretty neat. To throw some numbers out, I think they took in like $10 million last year, and, you know, charitable donations, and gave out almost 9.8 million of it back. So
that's the big thing. You're helping someone who doesn't keep the money.
Yeah, well,
there's a lot of charitable organizations that tend to, you know, half of it gets used in whatever, but they're taking and giving.
Yeah, 84 cents on every dollar goes back into the program for veterans. So, you know, when you're only taking 16 cents out of a dollar to go into administration, you know, that leaves a lot to go into programs.
Yeah. And administration, every ad you pay for, every piece of paper that you print, every phone call that you make, all that stuff is in administration. You start thinking that they're putting a very big majority back, and they're using it they're doing all of this on a small administrative budget.
Yeah, that's probably why you don't hear them as much around here. In the last few years, we've partnered with Casey's General Stores. Have been really huge, not just for myself, racing-wise, in years past, but also for the organization. Hy-Vee Food Stores has stepped up, and that's how you get, you know, to where you're at as an organization, is by having good people, you know, do great things for you, and, you know, they do that.
So we're going to try something here. Never done this. You're going to be a guinea pig. Did a little picture-on-picture. So we walked around. I took the video camera out earlier and walked around the car a little bit. And I think the audio is turned off. I can click on that and make sure the audio is still off. It is. So walking around your 305 car, you can see the Hope for Warriors on the side of the car. But we're going to zoom in on a few things here in a second and talk about the car. But tell us a little bit about the car in general, the 305 you got out there.
I mean, it's just a Maxim chassis with, you know, a 305 cubic inch motor in it. It's really nothing special. That's a car we ran a couple years ago. We won 2 or 3 races with it that year, and just kind of sat it in the corner because I had it in my head that you need something bigger and better, and sometimes bigger and better doesn't pan out. As we've proven this year with some of our issues we've had. But I've had I got really good people behind me that have stuck with me. Besides my wife and daughter who kind of got to put up with me, but sometimes you need that.
Well, we're climbing underneath the car a little bit here. Torsion bars and torsion arms on the right side of the car, the right rear. People who drive a car down the street may not understand how those work.
Yeah, it's just suspension pieces. It's all tied in, makes the car, roll around the racetrack. The shock, the torsion bars. It's just a spring bar.
And you can see the torsion stop for the other one. That's how they use the spring. Quick change rear end in these cars, of course.
Yeah, quick change rear end, which is it's either in or out of gear. There's no happy medium. You're either driving or you're not. As you can tell, she's still pretty dirty. I kind of gave it a
spit bath on the way in.
Yeah, gave it a spit bath on the way in because, like I said, we were planning on tearing this thing apart and being done with it. But
that actually shows people what you guys deal with on these cars. Every time out, they get dirty just like that, don't they?
They get dirty, and you got to clean them. To work on them, nobody likes working on a dirty car, and these things are no exception because you're not going to touch it without getting dirty right now. And I didn't do a very good job of cleaning it, but.
Well, tell us about the wing. It's a 5x5 wing, is that right?
A 5x5 wing, 25 square foot. It's a HRP there. I've had really good luck with their stuff, and they're fairly cheap, so I like it. I'm kind of a tight you-know-what. We got radius rods there, got a right rear brake on it, as you can see. Some guys run it, some guys don't. I tried it about a year ago and found I really liked it. Shocks, again, up front. You got torsion bars and stops. It's a live front axle. It's just solid. Sprint cars are really pretty crude, but they're pretty evil, too.
Tie rod going across the front. Now, people will notice when we get around there, you'll see the front when there's a torsion stop and a torsion arm, but the torsion bar connecting it. But over here, we'll get down inside the tires. You see the front wing, just some front wing posts and so on. We get down here, you'll see there's a left front brake, but there was not a right front brake.
Yeah, left front brake is, that's all sprint cars have, and that's just to kind of help the car go around the corner. Typical, you'll have a left front and inboard brake. Again, some guys will run the right rear brake, some guys don't. Inside the cockpit, you got all your fuel lines, steering gear, drive shaft, power steering pump, and fuel pump all, within inches of your feet and legs. And
I don't know if they can see the mouse or not, but we'll go see if I can't go back now, but I should have paused it, but maybe I can forward through here. Yeah, I can actually. We'll get towards the end. Right in here is the in and out. That's the lever for the in and out box.
Yep, that's it. That's, kicks it in gear, out of gear. To the left, there's a little lever with a line hanging up top that moves moves the wing forward and backwards. Like I said, these cars are pretty simple, but you can get yourself in a big trouble in a hurry. Kind of take yourself out of the ball game a little bit.
Well, we'll see if we can't go back to the main screen here. It's just the two of us. But so a quick trip around a 305. I don't know how that turned out for people watching at home, but it seemed like it went okay here. But sprint cars and late models or regular stock cars are a little different. The people who are around racing, sprint cars and midgets are kind of their own little beast, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And the neat thing about a 305 sprint car is you take that motor out, it can be a 360 sprint car, it can be a 410 sprint car. You put tie parts on them to make them a little lighter in the other divisions, but, you can run the same car if you wanted to, as my daughter's peeking her in through here.
Wait, you want to come on in here? Come in here and say hi.
Say hi.
Sneak on in here.
Yeah, she's the boss.
She's the boss. She's the reason you had white tires last year, right? Is that the story I heard? Is that correct?
She liked it. She's also the reason we're still racing this year. We've killed a couple motors and just not having a lot of fun. And
You mean almost broke four?
yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
almost broke 4.
And we weren't having a lot of fun with all the rainouts and everything. And I asked her, I said, "Sis, we'll go do different things." we don't need to go to the racetrack. And she kind of got a little upset about it, about not bringing a car. So, she's kind of the reason we're still racing right now. I was kind of hoping she'd maybe want to go do a go-kart thing or something and, transition that out. But she doesn't seem to have much interest in that. So right now we're just going to keep doing what we're doing.
You're not racing a race car? You're not going to be a race car driver? Why not? That might change. How old are you?
7.
7. You got a long time to become a race car driver. How old was Dad when he started racing? Do you know?
14 or 16.
14 or 16? Is she right? How old were you?
Pretty close.
How old were you?
I got the racing itch when I was about probably her age, when my dad raced with Ned, which, by the way, is, he's a short guy, but, man, it's tough shoes to fill with Ned there. But, yeah, I think I bought my first car when I was 16, I believe, and been trying to do it ever since. Some years are better than others, and, I'd take some time out there when I was in the military, and, they're not real fond of you trying to drive a race car when, they own you. So
yeah, motorcycles and race cars and stuff like that doesn't go real well, right?
Yeah, I did. I was very fortunate my last deployment to have a senior leadership that was from Iowa and understood what racing was, and they literally kicked me out of the country and let me go to the Knoxville Nationals in 2004. So I wasn't planning on going home for the 2 weeks, and I let all my other guys go, and I was just content with doing what I was doing. And Major Shimorn came in and said, "Hey, Sergeant Guernsey, isn't there something going on in Iowa this week?" And I said, "No, that's next week, sir." He goes, "Get your ass on a plane." So, I hightailed it, and got on a airplane down to Kuwait and Kuwait to the States, and it's kind of weird. I was at the racetrack 4 days later. So
it's kind of crazy how that works. Yeah, that racers. I don't think that racing and being a veteran is that uncommon. There's a lot of guys that were involved in both, but you've kind of taken it to a staying involved level.
Yeah,
that's something that a lot of guys haven't done. But you've used the platform pretty well, I think.
Well, my story is a little different. There's even days I don't believe it. My whole military journey was because I broke a motor and I had no money to put another one together. And I got this harebrained idea that join the military, man. You're going to save all kinds of money. And, none of that is true, by the way. I mean, as soon as you get out of earshot of home, it's like, hey, what can we do on the weekend? And, man, I'm broker than I was before. So I use my deployments to buy race car parts, and I've tried to stay very loyal to the handful of people that would actually talk to me when I was overseas. Because believe it or not, when you make a phone call and you try to explain to, an engine builder or parts manufacturer what you're doing, they kind of go, oh, okay, well, yeah, that sounds like fun. Give me a call when you get back. And I'm like, no, I got money. I want to spend money now. And
I want to have it when I get back.
Exactly. And the circumstances changed, I think, after – obviously I wasn't planning on getting hurt. I was just kind of the wrong place, wrong time in life. But it's made me who I am, and it's worked out for the most part. There are good days and bad days with that. But once you get things figured out of the direction you want to go, you got to stay the course. And that's kind of what racing is for me. It balances things out from that time spent overseas, and it keeps me involved in the military at the same time. So it's really a pretty unique balance of, I get to go racing, which is great, even at a local level. But I can still be involved with organizations, and I can get them involved. And, you meet a lot of people at racetracks that, are pretty guarded. And then they see the logo or, hey, I was this, or hey, I was that. And you can have a genuine conversation with a race fan who might be going through a situation or struggling. It just needed somebody to talk to that day. So to be able to do that and make a difference that way, it works out.
There's kind of a common ground among racers anyway, but you give a lot of people a second common ground and a group of people who a lot of times, like you said, are guarded. They don't talk about it. I think people can come to you because they understand. They know that you care, and they can understand that you've been through some stuff too.
Yeah, I think service members, we have a different way, a different outlook, definitely a different lingo. You know, we can cuss like sailors, and we're just saying hi. I mean, but once you find a common ground, and then you can open up a dialect. And I've used it in the past where I try to keep brochures for hope in the trailer. So if a service member does come up and we're out of town and they want to talk, and we do things, and then you just kind of, oh, hey, I got this. Check them out. If it's something you're interested in, sign up. It's not costing you anything to ask for a little bit of help. Sometimes you need that.
And that flyer can be for somebody who wants to help. That does not have to be somebody who needs help. It can be somebody who wants to help too, right?
You can. They have volunteer options, and the organization is really ran off volunteers for the majority of it. It's just men and women who either love the military or love America enough to put their time and effort and help. It's an undertaking. We went out to New York City there, I think 2-3 years ago for New Year's Eve, and there was roughly 40 of us. I mean, that's an undertaking when you think about it. These are service members, and that might not have been able to do that. Because we're not all millionaires. I ain't figured out how some of them get it done yet and become movie stars. Or I tried being a hand model, and then that didn't work out so swell. So. But
you
yeah,
could be a shaving model.
Yeah, I've been. I think Bic needs to sponsor me. Really.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Any of the above. I mean, at this point, you'd take.
I mean, really, I just take free product, as expensive as it is. So
I know,
I'll run with it.
Yeah. So you mentioned the little one, but you've got good family support from your other half too, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes.
Most of the time.
Yeah, she can be a little cranky, but she's been. Really,
there's no bigger fan. You don't have a bigger fan, though, do you?
No. I mean, it's kind of funny because if you see us at the racetrack, you would honestly think these two do not even like each other because we don't cut any corners, and we're not holding back. Sometimes I gotta remind myself that, but it happens. But yeah,
she's there every night, isn't she?
She's there every night. She was. I think I picked her up at the hospital one time after she had back surgery, and 12 hours later, we're at a racetrack. So it does make racing, that way makes it a little easier. My schedule's a little chaotic right now with work and the little one's sports activities. Never thought having a kid would be so strenuous on your mental and physical ability to just function. But
time, there's just never enough of it, is there?
There's not. I mean, but if she's having fun doing what she's doing, we'll figure out how to manage the racing thing, and it's going to come to a point where we're not going to race every week, and that's just part of it right now. If she continues the path she's going with playing sports and wanting to be active that way, I mean, it's going to happen.
Well, at some point you got to have priorities, and kids are priorities, and family's priorities, and that's how it is. Work is work, and the extracurricular is extracurricular. You have to remember that. Yeah,
I've told her, and I think she thinks I'm being funny, but we've never won a race and she's been there. So I said, we can get one of these done. We're liable to be done the next day. Get it done, have the picture, and I can go do other things on the weekends.
Just got to win one with her there.
Yeah,
maybe it'll be the next one.
Yeah. Right now, I'd just be happy for winter.
Be happy for winter, not winner.
Yeah.
Winter or winter. Whichever. It can be WINTER or WINNER. Whichever way, you'll be happy. Is that what you're saying?
I'll be happy for the end of the season right now. We started out kind of wishy-washy, and with the rain and the motor issues we've had, which is nobody's fault of their own, parts have broke. And that happens. That's just part of it. But, yeah, it's time to regroup. Like I said, we had a fellow racer kind of help me out a little bit and cut me a deal on a motor. And, like I said, the car that's sitting outside was not planned to be ran at all. It was just kind of sitting in the corner. And, after we killed a couple motors and, the little one decided we were still racing, it was just kind of convenient to yank it out. But we're going to get the new car back out with the new motor in it next week and kind of just see what it is and kind of go that route and try to figure out what we're going to do over the winter.
Well, I want to thank you for coming and bringing your car tonight. I know it's dark. We're going to have to load it in the dark. I apologize for that.
I think the mule's got lights, so we'll be all right.
There you go. I got Performance Bodies is our in-studio guest sponsor, so there's a T-shirt for you. Hopefully you got your dinner tonight from Buffalo Wild Wings, and hopefully you'll come back and hang out with us again sometime.
Yeah, this is, when I was, I don't want to say a kid, but when I was, late teens, early 20s, before I left for the military, this was a big thing. It was down at my grandparents' old bar, and this was really a neat deal. And it's glad to see it coming back, and hopefully it can help bring new life into the sport a little bit. With so much stuff going on, it's hard to get new fans out there. So, maybe if you're thinking about on the fence about going to the races, bring 2 or 3 people that have never been there, and hell, come on over. I'll give them whatever you want, a juice box, chocolate milk, adult beverage. Come on over. We'll have fun.
If you want to help with Honor for Warriors, I'm sure you can message Nick on Facebook, and we've tagged him in several posts. You can also come see at the racetrack. You'd be more than happy to talk to people, I'm sure.
If you got any questions for Hope for the Warriors, just come give me a ring, or check them out. It's hopeforthewarriors.org. They're great people, and they've treated me like family and kind of accepted me. It's really weird that there's not too many people you can get on the phone and that's a CEO of a major organization and talk to them on the first or second ring.
Right.
I was very fortunate with Mr. Myers at Casey's General Stores. We'd talk 2-3 times a week sometimes. Just on not even racing, just on life things. And Robin from Hope for the Warriors, I sent her a message there the other day, and it was probably 3 minutes later she sent one back. So, and it's genuine. It's not okay. It's
not a canned message.
Yeah, it's sometimes when she gets going, she doesn't stop. So you just got to kind of remind her, hey, I'm kind of hiding at work. I got things I got to do. So, but yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, we'll be back with the closing here. Talk about a few things coming up this weekend. I want to thank Nick, Performance Bodies, for the T-shirts that all the in-studio guests will get. All the fine folks here at Buffalo Wild Wings. We'll be right back after this here on the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Time for an adrenaline rush, and it's coming to 34 Raceway for the first time. Friday, August 30th is the fire-breathing, mudslinging showdown in the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series as they take on the Sprint Invaders and ASCS Warrior Region. Friday, August 30th, 11 to 5 p.m. with action at 6:15 p.m. The admission is $25 for adults, and kids 10 and under get in free. For more information and directions, call 319-752-3434 or log on to 34raceway.com.
All right, welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings, and we've had 2 great guests tonight. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I got my Wild Man Kelly. It's backwards here on the screen. I got my Wild Man Kelly classic shirt on, so that's a cool deal tonight. Speaking of that, we talked about Jacksonville. We're going to have a big deal. I've been showing that a couple times. $3,000 to win National Midgets, $1,000 to win non-qualifier race. I believe that's if there's 30 or more midgets. You can check them out, JacksonvilleSpeedway.com. Also, their Facebook page, Jacksonville Speedway, here on Facebook. Make sure you check that out. They have a huge race this Saturday. Of course, Quincy Raceways has a big race as well. Quincy Raceways has got the Deary Brothers Summer Series this Sunday as well. So a bunch of great racing. As I mentioned earlier, the Coles County has their big race, the Non-Wing Classic this weekend. So Coles County, if you like micro sprints and non-wing racing, the non-wings at Coles County should be great. Track has been pretty heavy, so it's probably going to be fast. So make sure you check that out. All kinds of great stuff. We'll tell you a little bit about the winners and stuff. We may, if Kenny Dobson's okay with it, we're going to try and be Sunday at Jacksonville to do a live pre-race show from Jacksonville, and if we can get a couple interviews from some guys and see what's going on there. But we'll be back here next Wednesday. We're going to have somebody, not sure yet, or hope to have somebody at least from the Mississippi Valley Vintage Race Car Association. And hopefully we'll have a couple cars out front. We had Nick Guernsey's 305 Sprint car here tonight. It was great having him here. So make sure you join us next week. Hopefully we can have a few more people here. We'll have another video. I want to thank Tony Anderson again for bringing a video and having a video for us tonight to play. You could probably hear it a little bit in the background, but great racing from 2012. Seeing the names that have come and gone are still racing, switch classes. It's a lot of fun. So I want to thank Brad for being here and Jesse for being here. They came tonight, and they've been supporters of getting the CFF Racing Show going again. So we're going to have Matt Strassheim on the show later. Devin Rouse has been here. We may probably have him on the show at some point coming up as well. We'll get some Lee County folks, maybe some Galesburg-type folks on as well, some Quad Cities, some Columbus Junction, get all kinds of great stuff going on. And we're going to build this thing, and hopefully you guys will be along for the ride. So for everybody here at Buffalo Wild Wings, Christian Ness, I want to thank him for helping us out. Thanks for joining us on the CFF Racing Show. I'm Dwayne Hewlett. We will see you next week right here at the Burlington, Iowa Buffalo Wild Wings.